Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, ex-cop turned taxi operator fatally stabbed by passenger in Trelawney. A taxi operator who previously served as a police officer was fatally stabbed during an altercation with a passenger in Trelawney on Friday night. This as the parish continues to grapple with the impact of interpersonal conflicts. The deceased has been identified as 34-year-old Stephen Morris, a taxi operator of Duncan's Hill in the parish. Reports are that around 8 p.m., Morris was operating his taxi along Thorpe Street in Falmouth, the parish capital, when a dispute developed between him and the passenger over seating arrangements in the vehicle. The argument reportedly escalated and a knife was brought into play, resulting in Morris sustaining a stab wound to the abdomen. He was rushed to the Falmouth Public General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. In the aftermath of the incident, the suspected attacker was set upon and beaten by an angry mob. He was subsequently taken to hospital for treatment and later handed over to the police. Life sentence for man found with 3 guns and ammo. A man who pleaded guilty to illegal possession of 3 firearms, one of them a rifle and ammunition, was last week sentenced to life in prison in the High Court Division of the Gun Court, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has reported. In a news release issued last Friday, the ODPP said Nicholas Hibbert was sentenced on June 9 after pleading guilty to 5 counts under the Firearms Prohibition Restriction and Regulation Act 2022. According to the ODPP, on March 6, 2024, about 11:30 a.m., police armed with a search warrant in the name of Nicholas Hibbert arrived at a targeted location in Central Village, St. Catherine. Upon their arrival, Hibbert, who was standing at the gate of the premises, looked in the direction of the police, ran and attempted to lock himself inside the premises. The police prevented him from bolting the grill and Hibbert ran inside the house. The police pursued and caught up with him at the back of the house. The man identified himself as Nicholas Hibbert, OC Dundon, OC Blacks, and a warrant was executed on him, the ODPP reported. The bedroom was searched in Hibbert's presence. The police saw and searched a barrel in the room and found 1 black revolver with 6 rounds of ammunition. The police also found 1 silver and a black pistol with 1 round of ammunition in the breech. That round was placed in a magazine which had other cartridges in it, the ODPP said. The accused, after the items were found, said, "Officer, please don't kill me." The accused was cautioned and asked if he had a permit or license for a firearm, and he replied no. He also said to the police, "I'm a man, officer," the ODPP said. The ODPP also said a search of the rear of the premises was conducted. The police observed a knitted bag partially visible in the ground and used a shovel, which was nearby, to retrieve the bag, inside which they found a rifle. The accused was asked if he had a license and responded by saying no, the ODPP reported. Hibbert was escorted along with the firearms to the Central Village Police Station, where he was arrested and charged. When he was cautioned, he said, "Officer, make me carry on go show no, where one of them day, and uno give me a chance," the ODPP reported. The office said that Hibbert was indicted for 3 counts of possession of prohibited weapon, 1 count of unauthorized possession of ammunition, and 1 count of stockpiling prohibited weapons. He pleaded guilty to all 5 counts on the indictment on March 3, 2025, before Justice Lorna Shelley Williams in the High Court Division of the Gun Court. On June 9, he was sentenced to 21 years and 9 months imprisonment on counts 1, 2, and 3 for the offenses of possession of prohibited weapon. He is to serve 15 years before being eligible for parole. On count 4, for the offense of unauthorized possession of ammunition, Hibbert was sentenced to life imprisonment and will not be eligible for parole before 20 years. He was also sentenced to life in prison on count 5 for the offense of stockpiling prohibited weapons and is to serve 25 years before being eligible for parole. The sentences are to run concurrently. The prosecution was represented by Crown Counsel Sarah Cochrane Spencer, while Hibbert was represented by attorney Donahue Martin. Florida woman sentenced to 21 years for Jamaican husband's murder. A Florida woman who shot dead her Jamaican husband last August has been sentenced to 21 years in prison. Denise Nicole Malcolm, 46, pleaded guilty last week to one count of murder in the second degree with a firearm. Malcolm had shot her husband, 52-year-old Rohan Malcolm, a former Jamaica Observer employee, at their Northwest 43rd Street home in Coral Gardens on August 31, 2024. She did not trust him and was at her wit's end with his lies and deceit, the Coral Springs Police Department stated in an arrest report at the time. Court documents had revealed that one of the couple's 14-year-old twin sons witnessed his father bleeding out on the floor of the parents' bedroom after being shot multiple times. Rohan was reportedly still alive when his son saw him clutching his shoulder. However, Denise told the detectives she fired one fatal shot, killing her husband just as the police arrived. Authorities received a call from the couple's son around 6:30 p.m. reporting that his father had been shot in the shoulder and was still alive. When police arrived at the home and issued a verbal command for the occupants to exit, the 14-year-old twins came out, but the wife remained inside, according to reports. While continuing to issue commands, officers heard a sound resembling a gunshot from inside the house. During a later interview with the detectives, Denise Malcolm reportedly admitted the sound was a fatal shot she had fired at her husband. She told the police she knew about his unfaithful behavior for almost 2 years prior to the violence, and that the Sunday afternoon shooting came in response to his claim that he was going out with friends. Denise Malcolm went on to tell police she and her husband slept in separate bedrooms and frequently engaged in heated altercations due to his infidelity, which had all but broken up their marriage. Her sentence, handed down last Wednesday, included 285 days credited for her time spent in pretrial detention. Committee shuts down proposal for ministers' income and assets to be published. The Joint Select Committee reviewing the Integrity Commission Act has shut down a recommendation to expand the categories of government officials whose statutory declarations should be gazetted. In its submission to the committee, the Norman Manley Law School recommended that Section 42(3)(b) should be expanded to have a summary of the statutory declarations of ministers of government be published for public scrutiny. At least 3 lawmakers on the committee objected to this proposal. Solicitor General Marlene Aldred inquired whether the committee would accept Norman Manley Law School's recommendation. Committee member and Justice Minister Delroy Chuck said no, while the committee's chairman Edmund Bartlett said that one definitely not accepted. Julian Robinson, another committee member, said he would not be supporting that proposal. At present, Section 42(3)(b) of the ICA provides for the anti-corruption body to publish a summary of the statutory declaration made by the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition in the Gazette. However, Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declaration has not been published in the Gazette since 2021. The Commission said it could not certify the income declaration of the Prime Minister and has referred the matter to the Financial Investigations Division in a special report citing Holness's failure to provide expense details. In a report it tabled in Parliament, the IC raised the concerns about the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. The Commission's Director of Investigation said he could not conclude on the question of illicit enrichment, while highlighting unexplained financial discrepancies in Holness's 2021 income filings. The Director of Investigation also raised the questions about the tax compliance and the transactions of more than $470 million involving connected companies. However, the Prime Minister is challenging the IC's investigation report into his financial affairs by way of judicial review. Holness has denied any wrongdoing, claiming that the report is flawed and unfairly suggests unethical and criminal conduct by him and affiliated companies. During its review of the ICA last week, the committee for the final time shot down a chorus of calls for Section 53(3, often referred to as the gag clause, to be repealed or amended. The committee in its closing deliberations said the gag clause will not be changed. The IC recommended that it be vested with the authority to comment on the initiation of investigations and on aspects of an ongoing probe as deemed necessary and appropriate. Of the 11 groups that made submissions to the committee, 8 said that Clause 53(3 should be struck from the legislation. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.